You are walking through tall grass. The sun is dropping below the horizon. A shadow moves at the edge of your vision, completely silent against the wind. Your heart rate instantly doubles. Why does your body panic so quickly? For roughly 300,000 years, this was not paranoia. This panic kept your DNA in the gene pool. For 99% of human history, you were not the king of the jungle. You were the prey. Today, we love to tell a very specific story about our past. We picture early humans as fearless apex predators. We draw them holding spears, standing triumphantly over defeated mammoths. We assume we ruled the ancient world through sheer brilliance and bravery. What if that story is a comforting lie? To understand how your body actually works, you have to strip away the myth of the mighty hunter. You have to look at the terrifying reality of the ancient savanna. The truth is much more humbling. We were small, slow, and essentially hairless walking meat snacks. How did we possibly survive? In 1924, anatomist Raymond Dart discovered a fossilized skull in South Africa. It belonged to a young ancient human known as the Tong child. Dart looked at the surrounding animal bones and concluded our ancestors were bloodthirsty killers. He created the killer ape theory, claiming we conquered the earth through violence. It sounded great, but it was entirely wrong. Decades later, a scientist named C.K. Brain pioneered the field of taphonomy. Taphonomy is simply the study of how decaying organisms become fossilized over time. Brain went to a cave system called Swartkrans in South Africa. He examined the ancient human skulls found deep inside the dark limestone. He found two distinct, perfectly round puncture marks on the back of a skull. Brain measured the exact distance between those holes. He compared them to the teeth of local predators. They were a perfect, undeniable match for the lower canines of a prehistoric leopard. Our ancestors did not live in those deep caves. They were dragged there. We were not the hunters bringing meat home. We were the meat being stored for later. Do you see how this flips our entire history upside down? Anthropologists Donna Hart and Robert Sussman completely shattered the apex predator myth. In their massive research project, compiled in the book Man the Hunted, they analyzed the fossil record of early humans. They discovered a truly grim statistical reality. Between 6 and 10% of all early human fossils show clear, violent evidence of predation. We were hunted by a terrifying cast of monsters. There was Dinofelis, a massive feline with teeth specifically designed to crush primate skulls. There were giant pack-hunting hyenas that stood as tall as modern lions. There were even birds of prey. The famous Tong child skull actually shows deep talon marks in the eye sockets, proving the child was snatched straight from the ground by a massive prehistoric eagle. How did a weak, clawless ape avoid going completely extinct? The answer is not brute physical strength. It is extreme social cooperation. Anthropologist Craig Stanford has spent years studying the predator-prey dynamics of modern primates in the wild. He notes that the single greatest defense a primate has against a predator is not fighting back. It is living in a large, tightly coordinated group. Your ancestors survived because they invented a biological alarm system. They developed the ability to read each other's minds without speaking. Look closely at your own eyes in a mirror. You have white sclera surrounding your dark irises. Most animals do not have this. Their eyes are entirely dark to camouflage their gaze from predators and prey alike. Why do we have these bright white flags painted on our faces? It is called the cooperative eye hypothesis. It evolved so that humans could track exactly where their tribe members were looking in an instant. If you are foraging in the tall grass and the person next to you suddenly freezes and looks to the left, you do not need to shout. You do not need to make a sound. You instantly follow their gaze. You see the leopard hidden in the brush. The whites of your eyes are an ancient, silent survival tool. Have you ever noticed how easily you can catch someone staring at you from across a crowded room? This intense social cohesion was our primary shield. But it was not enough to conquer the night. When the sun went down, the ancient savanna belonged entirely to the big cats. Human night vision is frankly terrible. For millions of years, sunset meant pure, suffocating terror. Our ancestors had to climb high into the trees and tie themselves to the branches just to sleep without falling into the jaws of a hyena. This terror shaped the very way you sleep today. Evolutionary anthropologist David Sampson studies the sleep architecture of hunter-gatherer tribes. He developed the sentinel hypothesis. Sampson discovered that in a natural tribal setting, it is incredibly rare for everyone to be asleep at the exact same time. Our circadian rhythms, our internal body clocks, are deliberately staggered. Some people are naturally early birds. Some people are extreme night owls. Today, society punishes night owls for sleeping in. But in the prehistoric camp, the night owl was the savior of the tribe. They stayed awake tending the fire and watching the dark edge of the camp while the early birds slept. You do not have a sleep disorder. You are simply the genetic descendant of the night watch. Does that change how you feel about your late-night insomnia? Even with sentinels, everything shifted roughly 1 million years ago. Homo erectus captured and controlled fire. Fire did not just cook our food and give us larger brains. It physically pushed the darkness back. For the first time in our evolutionary history, a primate could sit safely on the ground after dark. Fire absolutely terrified apex predators. It created a glowing circle of safety in a world of teeth and claws. It extended the day, allowing for tool-making, planning, and storytelling. The campfire was the absolute first boundary line ever drawn between humanity and the horrors of the wild. Can you imagine the profound physical relief our ancestors felt staring into those flames? But survival was not just about hiding behind a fire. Eventually, we had to move. We had to cross wide-open spaces to find water and food. We developed a secret weapon that no other animal on Earth possessed. It was not a sharp tooth. It was not a thick armored hide. It was the human shoulder. Evolutionary biologist Neil Roach studies the unique biomechanics of human throwing. He discovered that the human shoulder evolved to store and release elastic energy exactly like a slingshot. A chimpanzee is vastly stronger than a human in terms of raw muscle. But a chimpanzee cannot throw a rock with high speed, precision, and deadly accuracy. We can. This simple mechanical shift changed the entire balance of power. A single human with a rock is an easy target. 50 humans with 50 rocks are a deadly, long-range artillery unit. If a saber-toothed cat approached a foraging group, our ancestors did not run. Running immediately triggers a predator's chase instinct. Instead, they stood their ground. They formed a tight, loud wall, and they threw a blinding, bruising hail of heavy stones. We survived by weaponizing our numbers and our anatomy. This deep, traumatic history of being hunted left a permanent scar on your biology. Think about the things that cause you severe anxiety today. Why are humans almost universally terrified of the dark, of public speaking, and of social rejection? It is because your brain is still operating strictly on savanna rules. In the ancient world, being rejected by your tribe meant you were cast out into the wilderness entirely alone. Being alone meant you were dead. The fear of public speaking is the primal fear of standing apart from the safety of the group, exposed and vulnerable to the eyes watching you. Your brain literally processes social isolation as a physical threat to your life. We are a prey species that accidentally inherited the entire Earth. We are a nervous, anxious ape that survived by clinging to each other and throwing rocks at the shadows in the dark. Our modern anxiety is not a weakness. It is the exact psychological tool that kept our ancestors alive long enough to pass their genes down to you. You do not have to be ashamed of your daily stress. Your hypervigilance is a stunning evolutionary masterpiece. When your heart races over a looming deadline or a crowded room, your body is simply doing what it was perfectly designed to do. It is scanning the tall grass. It is looking for the hidden leopard. It is trying desperately to keep you safe. So let us reconstruct a typical day in this brutal, ancient world. You wake up in the branches of a tree, stiff and freezing cold. You climb down only when the sun is fully up and the big cats have gone to sleep. You walk in a tight, protective formation with 20 other people. You never, ever wander off alone. Every snap of a branch makes your head snap around in pure terror. You rely entirely on the eyes and ears of the people standing next to you. You gather edible roots and berries as fast as your hands can move. You find a scavenged bone left by a lion and crack it open quickly for the marrow inside. You do not linger in the open grass. The afternoon shadows begin to grow long. Panic begins to set in as the temperature drops. You rush back to the safety of the rocky overhang. You desperately spark the fire. You sit shoulder to shoulder in the flickering light, listening to the roaring in the dark outside, incredibly grateful to be alive for just one more day. Do you see how precarious and terrifying our existence truly was? The myth of the fearless, mighty hunter is deeply comforting to our modern egos, but the reality of the hunted, terrified ape is much more inspiring. We did not dominate this earth because we were the biggest, strongest monsters on it. We survived because we were the most wildly cooperative. We survived because we were terrified and we took care of each other. You are walking through tall grass. The sun is dropping below the horizon. A shadow moves at the edge of your vision, completely silent against the wind. Your heart rate instantly doubles. But the next time you feel that sudden spike of panic, you will know exactly why. You will know that it is not a weakness. It is the ancient, echoing voice of your ancestors, reminding you how to survive.